Code it now. So create two integer variables a and b and store integer user input to each of them. Determine if both a and b are both greater than 25, both less than 25, or if one is greater than 25, and output the results. So we're going to switch over to our JGrass window. And the reason we have this old file open is because it's going to be useful. So this way we don't have to copy everything over, like the class declaration or the static main method. We can avoid retyping that kind of stuff. So Control N for a new file, enter to select Java. Then let's go back to our old file, select all the contents of the file, like that. Control C, switch over back to our untitled file, Control V to paste. All right, so now we can change the class name. We no longer want this name. Instead, let's choose something like Test25. Again, change the class declaration, Test25. And now we need to get rid of the main method code. But in this case, we're actually going to keep this line right here, the scanner in new scanner, because we're going to need a scanner object so we can read user input. But everything else we don't really need, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it. Backspace, and let's move this back over. Perfect. And let's get rid of this comment because this comment isn't really applicable anymore, but we will leave the space there because we're going to write a new comment. So the first thing we want to do is we want to store integer user input into A and B. So let's just write that as a comment. In is going to read user input and store them into A and B. And then the next thing we need to do is, since we already have our scanner object set up, we can just go straight to printing out the message we want the user to see. So we're going to do a system.out.println, and we need our quotes, and we can just say something, please enter a value for A, and our semicolon, and then we can declare A, so we need an integer A equals in.next int, semicolon, and then we can do the same thing for B. So for this, actually, we could just take this and copy it since it's going to be very, very similar. Control V. So now let's just change the value here, and obviously we don't want two variables called A. Now we can put some new line space. And the next part is that we need to determine if both A and B are greater than 25, both less than 25, or if one is greater than 25, and we want to output all of these results. So the way I'm going to go about this is I'm just going to output all of them within system.out.println statements, because that just makes the most sense to me. And you'll see what I mean by that in a minute. So I'm just going to add a comment first. Print out the results of testing whether or not A and B are both less than 25, both greater than 25, or if one is less than, or if one is greater than 25 rather, sorry, my mistake, or if one is greater than 25. All right, that is looking good. Okay, so now we can start writing our actual code. So the first one is going to be pretty straightforward. We want to determine if both A and B are greater than 25. So just reading that statement, sort of, you can get an idea of the kind of operators we want to use. We'll just do a system.out.println, and then we'll just say that A and B both greater than 25. We're going to end the quote, then we're going to use concatenation with the plus, and then we're going to actually put the results of our comparison in parentheses. So we're going to say A greater than 25 and B greater than 25, close our parentheses, add another plus for concatenation. Oh, and I almost forgot, you want to put a space after this 25 here because we don't want it to just be one big jumbled word. We want 25 to be separate from the result of that. And actually, I don't know why I had this plus at the end. We don't really need that. We can just close the parentheses here and add a semicolon. So that first line is just going to contain the result of that first test. And then what we can do is we can copy this line, and it'll be like a little template for each of the following lines that we do. All right, so in this case, A and B, we can change this to both less than 25. And then if we go here, the only thing we really want to change is these comparisons with A and 25 and B and 25. So A less than 25 and B less than 25. Easy enough. And then we'll go here, add a new line, and then do a Control V again. Now for this last one, it's going to be a little different. It's not going to be exactly the same as the other one. So we want to see if 1 is greater than 25 and output the results. All right. So for this, we can change the quotes. 1 is greater than 25. And then if we go here, what we want to do is we no longer want this and, because we don't want necessarily that both of them have to be greater than 25. We just care if one of them is greater. So the idea behind 1 is or. That's the key word there. So we're going to use the or operator. So if A is greater than 25 or B is greater than 25, if either one is true, then that means one of them is greater, and we return true for this whole expression. All right, and that should be it. So now we're just going to save our file, do Control S. We can just accept the default values because I'm fine with where the folder is, and the name of the file is obviously pulled straight from the class declaration, which is good. Hit Enter. And then we can do a Control B to compile. And as you can see here, our operation completed successfully, which is great. And then we can do a Control R to run it. All right, so as we can see here, it's asking us to enter a value for A. So let's just put in, I don't know, let's try 15. And let's make B specifically greater than 25, so 27. And that's good. See, so we know that our last print statement here works properly because we had only one of them greater than 25. Because we see here, oh, look at that. We noticed the mistake here. Instead of 1, I wrote on. And that's okay. That's why we test our code. So we can just add an E here, save it again, and then Control B to compile again, Control R to run. All right, like we did last time, let's put a value less than 25 for A, so 15. Let's put a value greater than 25 for B, so 27. And there we go. So like I was saying, A and B both greater than 25, that's false because A was 15. A and B both less than 25 is also false because B was 27. 1 is greater than 25 is true because B was 27. So there we go.